the SolidWorks 2019 Distributed Data Management Live event. If you joined us back in September when we talked about design to manufacture, you'll be a little familiar with the format. We're going to spend some time today speaking with some folks about how SolidWorks is changing the way that you can leverage our software with the new products. Joining me today to discuss this, I have Kurt Lundstedt with the product management team, and I have Mark Barrow with the product introduction team. Thank you both so much for joining us here today.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to be here.
So, Kurt, for those unfamiliar with what product management does at SolidWorks, why don't you introduce yourself and kind of what your role is here?
Yeah, so the product management group at SolidWorks' main focus is to chart the course of our product lines. And that could be either introducing brand new products, of course enhancing our existing ones, and then taking advantage of new technology, mainly around like hardware. So we can take advantage of some of the new innovations that our hardware partners have put out.
So, like I mentioned a moment ago, back in September, we focused a little on design to manufacture. Have we done anything with our data management tools that can kind of leverage that workflow and continue where we picked up?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the, just to mention one, the sheet metal design. That's something that's a common practice with a lot of our SolidWorks customers. And so some of the things that we've done in PDM 2019 really streamline that process of getting that data down to the manufacturing floor.
Well, I'd really like to see this. Mark, can you spend a few minutes and show us what he's talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start with design. So we'll take a look at an example to begin with. One of the fantastic new enhancements we introduced at SolidWorks 2019 now is the ability to completely annotate the 3D flat pattern. So this is a great way of being able to kind of annotate the design and share that information within other parts of your organization. Also, a lot of companies, spend time creating 2D drawings to document this information. So by, placing it on the 3D model, then, you completely eliminated that extra time.
But I need to bring this into manufacturing, though, right?
Yeah, that's right. And typically, what we do in SolidWorks is you create, you can output a DXF or DWG flat pattern file straight from the model, and we've had that for a number of years. But what we've introduced now in PDM 2019 is an out-of-the-box PDM task that actually automates that process. Now, you might be thinking, well, why wouldn't I do that in SolidWorks? Well, if you can imagine you've got a design of maybe 20 or 30 parts, actually, by firing off a task on a workflow, then you can get SolidWorks PDM to automatically generate all of those flat pattern files in one go. So it's a huge time saver.
And I think that's something we're going to see a little bit later, how to associate that with the task.
That's right.
Now, so we've created this DXF file, but I'm on the shop floor. I don't have a CAD workstation. How do I access this data?
Right, well, what we've done in PDM 2019 is completely kind of overhauled the mobile look and feel for our web client. So now, if you're working on the shop floor, you can use a mobile phone, or you could be using a tablet, and you can log in, and you can view your SolidWorks designs. You can preview, any documents. You've also got full capabilities, or full PDM capabilities, so you can even put parts into workflows. So it's not just for the shop floor, but it's also great for suppliers as well. So you're not, tied to that traditional workstation. You can make decisions really wherever you are.
And if I'm on a computer and a web browser, a mobile device, or a tablet, are my experiences different?
Exactly the same. Yeah.
That's great. Now, Kurt, we've seen how we can use SolidWorks PDM to drive through to manufacturing, but there's definitely other areas of the organization that can benefit from data management.
Oh,
right?
yeah, absolutely. There's, for instance, we have inspection. So that's another area that PDM can help with, because if you think about it, PDM kind of transcends all the different markets and industries. And so if it's inspection, either in SolidWorks Electrical and Composer, those are some of the areas that we can focus on.
So you're saying we can, we can check in and out files inside of SolidWorks inspection? Is that what we're doing?
Well, we can certainly do that, but it does a lot more than that. So what we'll do is we'll take a look at an example of how it all works. So we introduced the inspection integration at SolidWorks 2018 SP2, and we've enhanced it further at SolidWorks 2019. So you can really use this to manage your entire inspection process. So really anything from coordinate measuring machine results all the way through to first article inspection reports. Now, when you create a first article inspection report using SolidWorks Inspection, what PDM will do is it will automatically add that report to the vault. But not only that, it will actually create the reference for you back to the parent project. So it's managing these references behind the scenes for you and keeping everything in check. So it's kind of doing all the hard work for you.
So it sounds like there's a little bit of automation happening with SolidWorks PDM to augment my inspection process.
Yeah, that's right. So if we move on, and basically, you've got your project created. When you go to check it into the vault, what you can do here is actually map all of your metadata from your project to a PDM, SolidWorks PDM data card. And what we've also done in PDM 2019 now is made that bidirectional. So if a member of your design team makes a change in Windows Explorer to that data, that information can be passed back to your inspection project so your quality engineers can see that change.
That's great.
And then once you've got all of the project information in the vault, other members of your, it could be your design team or your inspection team, they can go in, they can see all of the linked files, all the references, so the project, the results, the reporting. That can all be previewed as well using the PDM Live Preview, so they can view these documents without actually having to open them up in the native application. And then using SolidWorks PDM, inspection projects can have their own workflow, so you can actually capture your complete inspection process. So that can really help with meeting regulatory compliance like FDA and ISO, for example. So it's a little bit more than just check in and check out.
All right, that sounds really exciting. Now, SolidWorks inspection is a little bit different than how CAD files work, but we have other tools that are also different than how SolidWorks files work, right, Kurt? Like SolidWorks Electrical, there's actually not physical files, right?
Yeah, the SolidWorks Electrical is based on a database, so the information in there is just really records inside that database. It's not like the files that you have with SolidWorks, no parts and assemblies. But with the new integration between PDM and Electrical, we can grab that information, that bill of material information, for example, and have that show up in PDM. So it's really a powerful integration.
So Mark, what's this experience look like to our customers?
Yeah, so it really follows the same theme as the inspection integration. So electrical design teams now, as we've just said, can manage their entire electrical design process inside or using SolidWorks PDM. So it really brings the mechanical design teams and the electrical design teams a lot closer together, working on a single source of information. Obviously, there's a number of benefits to doing that. So, for example, you can, again, pass metadata back and forth. So other people within the organization can see information related to the electrical project. You've got full traceability of where parts are used across multiple projects, which facilitates data reuse. And you can manage your bill of materials. So not only can you just revise your bill of materials, but more importantly, you can compare different revisions of a bill of material. So it's a really powerful integration.
And do I benefit from things like where used and contains, like I would with a SolidWorks?
Yeah, absolutely.
assembly?
Because you've got this complete traceability across multiple projects. You can look at the connector and see every single project that component's used.
Because if you need to make a change, that's an important place to look, because then you know every
Absolutely.
project where it's affected.
Well, Mark, thanks so much for spending some time and showing us how SolidWorks PDM can really benefit our customers. I really appreciate having you here today.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right. Now, Kurt, you talked about SolidWorks Inspection and SolidWorks Electrical, but you also had mentioned SolidWorks Composer. So
Right.
for this, I wanted to bring Michael Steeves with the product introduction team out here to talk a little bit about that. Michael, welcome.
Hi, Jeremy. Hey, Kurt.
So,
Hello.
Michael, you've spent a little bit of time working with SolidWorks Composer and SolidWorks PDM, and you seemed really excited about some of the new things we're doing.
Well, yeah, I mean, one of the beautiful things about PDM is you can put any electronic file in it. And with Composer 2019, the integration, that similar to what we saw with Inspection, is here. So, for example, as a technical writer, I can get in, start working on my projects without having to leave SolidWorks Composer. One challenge that often comes up is when you're on the go. You're not connected to the vault. You need VPN or something. You just can't get in. PDM offers an offline mode. And so when you go in, create your deliverables, images, animations, whatever it may be. After you create that in offline mode, with a couple clicks of the button, you go back online mode, search local files, and with one click, all those files that you created offline are now in the vault, and other people can access them.
So I don't have to be connected all the time.
Right. Just come back to the office and resync.
Absolutely.
So the integration also goes one step further, right? We have that ribbon in the top, but where we can leverage this information more is in with workflow, right? How can you keep track of the data as you're working on it? Is it in work in progress? Have you submitted it for approval? Is it approved? Is it ready for the technical person on the shop floor to assemble
Sure.
it? So one challenge that comes up here is references. right? And one of the advantages of using Composer is being able to create your documentation earlier, right? The CAD files don't necessarily have to be 100% done.
Right. SolidWorks Composer is always looking at that SolidWorks file.
Right. So with versions, I can create my SolidWorks Composer project, but then as soon as engineering finishes it, a version is automatically created in the PDM vault. Next time I go inside Composer to do an update, I browse right to the same file, PDM automatically gets that latest version for me, and I'm on the track for success.
And it's important to note, too, is the notifications you can get with PDM. So when that CAD file changes, the TechPub person can get notified and go right to it. We don't have to make phone calls and send separate emails.
Right. So not only is this important and valuable for the technical writer, the SolidWorks Composer user, it's also important for the shop technician as well, the person who's doing the work and putting these things together. With SolidWorks PDM, we can configure a search card, make it as simple as we want, so that the assembly technician can come in, enter their part number, and they only have visibility of what's been approved. And again, similar to what we saw earlier, if the CAD file is changed, the search results are automatically the latest version.
And they can view the Composer file right inside of SolidWorks PDM.
Yeah, absolutely. No need to open up different things. We're just in one Windows Explorer to get the job done.
That's great. So a workflow change happens, the SolidWorks files update, the technical pubs are updated, and the guy on the shop floor who is using these as assembly instructions gets notified the new project's ready, and all he has to do is log into SolidWorks PDM, and through the viewer right there, he's ready to go start making those changes in the real world.
Right. And with that enhanced integration, people using SolidWorks Composer don't have to leave SolidWorks Composer to make it easy to manage the data.
That's great. Now, Kurt, we've seen examples of how SolidWorks PDM is really reaching out into these other SolidWorks products. We took a look at SolidWorks Inspection, SolidWorks Electrical, and SolidWorks Composer. Yep. But I'm a mechanical engineer. Is there new stuff for me inside of SolidWorks
Oh, yeah,
PDM?
absolutely. So there's we look at all the different disciplines that interact with the system. So from the admin standpoint, there's some new stuff in there, make their lives easier, which in turn makes the user lives easier, but also for the user themselves to help them get to their data much quicker through the enhancements that we put in. So some exciting stuff.
Cool. Michael, you have any examples you want to share with us of what's new?
Yeah, so let's go a little bit deeper than what we saw earlier with that sheet metal example. Right, and take a look, compare 3 different ways to do the same task, do the same job of exporting a DWG or DXF. Right, straight from the SolidWorks part, this is the much more hands-on. The engineer would come in, or the designer would come in, export that DWG, DXF, and what we saw a little bit earlier is that we can automate that with a task inside PDM. Just choose it, right-click on the file, and choose a task. But to really make it hands-off, we can make this an action inside the workflow itself. So for example, I want to send this out to a contract manufacturer. As soon as I send this to for their approval, it automatically converts that DWG DXF on demand. So like what we saw earlier, they can jump into SolidWorks PDM Web and notice if there's an issue, send it back. But the next challenge comes up, how do we notify the designer?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, and to make this much more elegant than ever before, we have conditional notifications.
Great feature.
So quickly explain, what does a conditional notification do for us here?
Right, so as I've gone through and done a number of implementations, one question that often comes up is, how does the responsible engineer get notified? I don't want to notify all of the engineers. Right. I want to pick a person in the data card and have them get notified. Now in the administration tool, we set up that conditional notification based off of a variable. And the other thing that's really powerful now in 2019 is being able to create those users. Right?
Yeah, because I have an external user, but maybe we're Active Directory, right?
Yeah, because Active Directory is used by a lot of our customers for their authentication. But the challenge has been in the past, we can't, IT doesn't want you to add external people to their Active Directory system. So in 2019, that's been taken care of.
And we can further leverage those usernames as default values now in search cards. So like for the technical illustrator that we were talking about earlier, they can just jump in, click search, and it automatically has their name associated to it, so they can check in any open projects.
So when I'm searching for what files do I have checked out, this process is just a lot faster. I'm just avoiding that extra step, right?
Right. And you, Jeremy, as the mechanical engineer, you'll have some great features for those familiar with PDM already. How do they get in, get out, and do their task? Right. So for experienced PDM users, we can do many more actions, right? When you right-click on a file and you have edit, you have check-in, check-out history, you now have access to this in the where used, contains, and bill of materials tabs to quickly jump in, get your task done, and move on with your day. This continues further. We're able to leverage the history much more by not only being able to create labels, and we can edit them and modify the descriptions in the history if we want. It's an administrative setting for that. And furthermore, when it comes down to drawings, right? When you create drawings, you create a new sheet. Do you have to manually enter in all those properties for that sheet? Not anymore with 2019, Jeremy. So this is going to save you a lot of time. That's right.
Yep. Yeah, it's that update all configuration setting now applies to drawings basically, and that can push those dimensions out.
Right. So for the administrator, it's a checkbox, and for the users, they're having a wonderful time.
And I think it can't go without saying you've shown some simple, subtle things that have big time savings. You were talking about being able to right-click on items in the where used and contains. That avoids me that step of having to browse to and then find that file. That's actually a really big time saver for people who spend a lot of time inside of their vault.
Absolutely right.
Now, speaking of spending time inside of the vault, Kurt, SolidWorks PDM is a powerful tool that allows our customers to really be more efficient. But I've heard some customers want more. What are we doing for those customers who want more?
Yeah, so like you said, PDM is a great tool. It's got lots of capabilities, but in January of last year, we introduced a new product called SolidWorks Manage. And Manage builds on top of PDM. You connect it to your vault. There's no migration. There's no data translation or anything like that. You can leverage that PDM data into various other areas like project management and bill of material management and so forth. Dashboards, reports, all that is part of part of SolidWorks Manage.
And you said it builds on top of it, which means all the work in history and legacy I have just continues to move forward with this.
And you can stay in Windows Explorer and check in and check out, or check out, do it from Manage or SolidWorks. It's wherever you want.
Well, I want to see more of this, Michael. Can you kind of give our audience a little bit of a first look? What is SolidWorks Manage?
Yeah, because this definitely takes your operational efforts and expands them to the entire company. So one thing, especially for decision makers in the company trying to figure out what you're going to do with your time, Jeremy, this makes it much easier to make informed decisions faster. Because the one critical question that you have to ask is, how are you collecting all this information? With SolidWorks Manage, you're using these different areas in one system. So we're breaking down different data silos. And with dashboards and reports, it's collecting that automatically for you. So, and these dashboards can be configured based on your user, based on your responsibilities, to make it easy. Jump in, access information that's pertinent to your job, and move on. So not only with dashboards does this collect everything together, projects also uses information throughout the system. And we're using familiar tools to do this project management Gantt chart type work. We can assign resources, we can visualize their load. One thing that was introduced recently was being able to split stages, for example. So if we do notice an issue, if we're assigning tasks, we can do so much easier now. And like having a virtual scrum, you can use a task board to visualize and assign tasks. And again, we can associate data or items that live in Manage or records that live inside PDM as well. So it makes it much easier. But some things don't always require just checking a box to get the job done, right? Some things may need to go to a process. So Kurt, what kind of processes are we seeing?
Yeah, I mean, the processes, companies have all kinds of different processes. You have your approval process maybe for your CAD files, but companies often have other types of processes, new product introduction, transmittals, that type of thing is areas that Manage can help with.
So let me give you an example, like a new product introduction. Let's dive into this one. We have a very powerful process wizard to make it easy to define, connect these different stages, gates, whatever it may be, decision points, and we can even kick off a secondary process from one process. So like in this new product introduction, we want the technical publication project to get started too. So we can do so. It automatically associates the same data if we want. We can associate new data to it, like the Composer project that we were working on earlier. And this takes it one step further, because as that technical publication gets released, well, what about the state inside SolidWorks PDM? One of the paramount capabilities here is that these systems work very well together. So when something gets released in Manage, it automatically transitions it and releases it inside PDM. So these two systems are really one, and there's tightly
we really focused on the integration to make them like
and you're
tied
really
together
connecting
close.
a lot of different parts of the organization together with this.
So if you want to work in Windows Explorer, go ahead.
There you go.
All right. What about bombs? That's something I'm familiar with.
So this is one, the expanded capabilities, because as the engineer in your case, am I just creating my engineering bomb, throwing it over the wall? Well, again, this is all in the same system. So I can, sure enough, take your CAD bomb, bring it in, maybe define a separate quantity if I want to create variants, if I want to flatten the bomb of all those instances to get a rollout of something that I need to buy from a contractor. It's easier than ever before to do so and get accurate information laid out for what we're selling to the customer.
Michael, what can I say? I mean, this looks like, we talked about customers wanting to expand their data management to be so much more. Kurt, I think this is really going to help our customers quite a bit.
Yeah, and I can't say enough about that dashboard and reporting. We didn't really touch on reporting, but that's basically a snapshot of a dashboard, and you can automatically attach that to a notification and send it out to the manager that needs that report every week on their desk. So it's a great tool.
Yeah, organizations will have so much more insight into what's going on inside of their organization beyond just the designing things inside of SolidWorks, for example. Well, we're going to wrap up here in a little bit, but I always like to ask the people I have, what are some of your favorite things that we're doing at SolidWorks? And Kurt, over the last year, you get to see inside what we're doing. What are you most excited about moving forward with our data management tools in SolidWorks?
Yeah, well, of course, SolidWorks Manage is an exciting tool. There's lots of great capabilities in there that are, that weren't previously available to our customers in such an easy way. But SolidWorks PDM, that Web 2 interface that automatically resizes whether you're on your phone or a tablet or computer, I think that's really it's an exciting new product. There's also new features in Web 2. It's just not a new look and feel. There's some great features in there, but to upload files in an intelligent way.
Yeah, so Jeremy, next time you're on the go, you can grab those files, drag and drop them into Web, and it captures those references automatically.
Yeah, that's going to be great. It's going to mean I'm not tied down to any one location wherever I go. And Michael, you're a little bit newer in the organization. Tell me, since coming on, what's the most exciting thing you've been involved with in regards to distributed data management?
Yeah, and from doing like a number of these implementations in the field, hopefully you saw how excited I was with conditional notifications, because that's one of them. Being able to specify a user in the data card and have that notification only go to them, making sure that we can get the value out of notifications from these systems without cluttering inboxes, making sure that your email inbox is clean and purposeful.
Great. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me here today. That's all we're going to have for distributed data management this afternoon. But if you join us again later on at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to be talking about designer to analyst and how simulation engineers can really benefit from a lot of the new capabilities we're going to be releasing this year as well. And if you'd like to learn more about distributed data management, please visit our website at solidworks.com/data management. And finally, join us on social media on websites like YouTube and Facebook, where we frequently are hosting live events like this. Until this afternoon, we'll see you later.
Thank you.